What up, though? Welcome to a new episode of the Don't Blame Me, Blame Detroit podcast with your boy Brandon Jordan. And I'm here today, and we're going to get right into it because I got a very special guest, one of New York's own, but he's also one of Detroit's own, one of Detroit sports legends, somebody I grew up with watching on TV and getting all my sports information as a kid. I want y'all to give a warm welcome to the podcast, my guy, Rob Parker. What's
B,
up, Rob?
what's up? I'm glad you said that. Detroit's own and New York's own. I'm from New York, but as you know, Detroit is my second home, and I spent 20 years there. It's where my career took off. It's where I got married. It's where I still own a business and a home. And so Detroit's always got a special part in my heart, despite that I wasn't born there. But,
Right.
I'm very connected. I got so many friends there and so many great memories. And, I live in LA now, but still got a 313 phone number.
Now, let me ask you now, by you said you wasn't born there because you wasn't born there, but you basically grew up there in Detroit. You know what I'm saying? In your adulthood.
Right.
You,
My professional
you,
career. I mean,
right.
I got married there. I got divorced there. I mean, like started a business there, bought a house there. You know what I mean? Like when you think about the things you go through in life, most of the biggest things that ever happened to me. My job at the Free Press as the first Black sports columnist the paper ever had. That's monumental. I mean, there's no way Detroit's not at the top of when I think of the things that have happened in my life.
So do you feel more connected to Detroit or New York?
I mean, New York is where I'm from. And, I got plenty of friends there and I was born there. But to be honest, if you really want to be honest, think about
Mm-hmm.
it. I was born there, lived there for 18 years until I went away to college, left New York, came back to work, left again, came back. So I've been out of New York more than I've been in New York, if you really add up the years as far as how
Mm-hmm.
old I am. But New York is different. It's just that I was born there, my family's there. But, you know, I grew up and blossomed into the person that I am in Detroit, no doubt.
Now, how do you feel? How do you feel about the changes the city has been making over the last what's it been? 5, 6 years now, like
Oh,
with the downtown and everything. Because growing up in Detroit, it's different for me when I go back and visit the city. Because growing up, we didn't have a chain restaurant in the city at one time. We didn't have the type of shopping that you can endure now.
they
It's
got
just
a
a lot
Gucci
different
store
things.
downtown. Are you kidding? They had a Gucci store in downtown Detroit. They got a Nike outlet in downtown Detroit. No,
Mm-hmm.
it is even from the time when I first arrived in 1993. That's when I got there. When I think about the city and the advances and what's happened, it's monumental. It's great to see. Um, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done in the neighborhoods and getting other things together, but you have to have a starting point, and you got more people moving into downtown and living downtown than ever before. You got the little tram they have now, or whatever they call light rail
Mm-hmm.
um, thing. So the stadium, the Pistons moved from the suburbs. That's only the second time I can remember that happened. It happened when the Cleveland Cavaliers moved from the suburbs back into the city, and then here's the Pistons moving from the suburbs back into the city. So those are all great things. The feel about Detroit is great and better. And I just had a 20th anniversary party for my barbershop at the
Yep.
Hollywood, what is it? Hollywood Greektown Casino.
Okay.
And it was awesome. I mean, we had a great time. We had 300 people, and it was the venue and the moment and how it felt like you were in any other big time city. You know what I mean? Really celebrate. It was great. It was great.
Like I remember when I came back to visit. This is years ago, a couple years ago. When came back to visit, I was driving down Jefferson, and I didn't tell the story before on here, but I'm telling it to you. I was driving down Jefferson, and I seen a 7-Eleven. I literally stopped in the middle of the street and was shocked. I said, "Huh?" And the person I was with, they wasn't from Detroit either. They were from Atlanta. And they looking at me like it's just 7-Eleven. I said, you just don't understand. I have never seen 7-Eleven in Detroit in my life.
Right. It's
So
crazy.
it was just it was a big deal to me, to see that. And so I tell people, man, when I go traveling, I say Detroit to me has a top 5 downtown right now.
Um,
When you compare it to the things to do, because there's not too many major cities in the US that has 3 major casinos.
well, that's true. There's no doubt about it. That's
All
true.
three all three major sports teams. And with the new restaurants and bars and stuff, it's just so much I feel like to really to get down to do things with down there. I go to some of the downtowns, I'm like, man, Detroit is a rival to y'all right now.
Yeah, no, no, no. There's definitely. I can remember when I used to cover the Knicks for the Daily News in New York, and um this was in the late '80s, and I remember me and my two other friends who were writers who covered the team. We were leaving from the airport, driving past Detroit and heading up to uh, the Troy Marriott, right? Where that's where we used to stay, the Troy Marriott, in order to go to the games at the Palace. So we were driving on 75 or something, going past the city, and I swear to you, out of nowhere, because we had never been to really Detroit, because we'd
Mm-hmm.
always just go from Metro straight past the city and go up to Troy, and then to Auburn Hills, and out of nowhere, I just said to the other two guys in the car, the other riders, I was like, dude, I would never want to live here. Oh my God. Can you imagine me saying that out of the blue? No one even said anything to me. And I went from that to taking the job as a columnist for the Free Press, which I was thrilled to get. And then, you know, laying a foundation with businesses. At one time, me and my partner, Tico Edwards, we had 5 businesses and commercial properties over all around the city. And to think that I went from saying I would never want to be there to all the things that I wound up doing and investing. All my properties were in the city limits.
No, and that's all I wanted to touch on that too, because you get a lot of people that come to different cities, and right now we can focus on Detroit. They come to different cities and they come to Detroit and they will, get a celebrity, get their career going. But publicly it just seems like they don't never do anything for the city. But you came into the city and you really gave opportunities to people within the city limits. Just starting off with the barbershop. You have one of the most iconic barbershops because it's been there for the longest, and a lot of people come through your barbershop. Like, what made you, pick that decision to open up a barbershop in the middle of Detroit?
I'm just, I'm from New York, and there's all kinds. I'm from Jamaica, Queens, and that's the outer boroughs. It's not Manhattan. It's not glitzy. It's a neighborhood. Jamaica is a neighborhood, a big neighborhood in Queens. That mostly black people live in, and I've never been afraid of being around my own people, or it's got to be an upscale shop somewhere in the suburbs to feel good or comfortable. I was always comfortable. And the guy who was cutting my hair at the Buzz on 6 Mile, Tico Edwards, is the one we were talking one day, and he wanted to go, open his own barbershop. I wanted to open my own barbershop. So we talked about it. We found a building and we bought it. And that's how we really got started. So I'm always a man of the people. I'm always around. I'm hanging out around the city. But that's just who I am. I'm just wherever it is. If I'm going to Southfield, if I'm going to Birmingham, is okay. That's good too. But I'm not afraid to hang out and do things in the city. And that's where I felt comfortable. So our barbershop, 20 years, people know it. I mean, we had Larry Brown come to the barbershop in 2005. Think about that. The year after they won the championship. LB on 7 Mile Road,
Mm-hmm.
hanging out, talking basketball. Steve Mariucci came to the shop. Hello? What other barbershop in Detroit had a head coach, not a former head coach, he the coach of the team that at the time he came.
Yep.
Both of them. So we did stuff like that. We used to give out tickets to games. a lot of engagement. We've been very fortunate because our customers have been very good to us. They appreciate us giving them a comfortable, quality place to get a haircut, not trying to rob them on prices. The place is clean. It's nice. If you ever check it out, 7 Mile Road between Outer Drive and Myers, and it's called Sporty Cuts. And it's really, I'm not just saying this, we did a remodel for our 20th anniversary. And without even seeing all the other barbershops, best looking barbershop in the city of Detroit. It is absolutely beautiful.
Okay. Yeah, my shout out to and RIP to my big brother. Kool-Aid used to come through your shop. Used to come through your shop.
Is that right?
Yeah, he used to come through there. But so let's I want to switch it out to sports. And now we gonna have this disagreement, and I know I'm not trying to get into that argument because we can spend all day talking about it, going back and forth. But I'm a huge Kobe Bryant fan.
Mm-hmm.
Kobe Bryant is my man. To me, he's the GOAT, and nothing can change my mind about that. But I wanted to ask you this, because I know that for a long time he's really never been a super media favorite. But this is the question I wanted to ask you. Do you think if he never would have got into the situation in Denver, would have been looked differently when it comes to the argument of best of one of the best of all time, or the way that the media looks at him? Is it just based off that situation, or is it other factors?
It has nothing to do with that. It's a different time. If that happened now, it would be different. But back then, if you remember, the team used to let him fly the team plane back and forth to the trial. Mm-hmm. So he wouldn't get suspended. If you do that now, you probably are suspended by the team until it gets, taken care of, or the trial. Your team would never, ever let their star player use their plane and travel. It would be totally different. So no, that's not the reason. The reason is that he played on a team with Shaquille O'Neal, who was the most dominant player during that time. And it doesn't mean that Kobe was a bum but Shaq was the most dominant player in the league. It's just a fact. And when you have two great players like that, that's why they didn't win a lot of MVPs, because you have two great players. It kind of splits it. That's why Shaq or Kobe doesn't get it by themselves, because they were a tandem. And most people don't look at thinking, how can Kobe be the greatest of all time when he didn't even put up the best numbers on his own team? He put up great numbers, but he didn't put up the best numbers. How could he be the GOAT and Shaq had better numbers than him?
Well, it's for me. Kobe Bryant is the reason why I fell in love with basketball.
No, I get all that. I'm asking you, but
I'm telling you this. And so I'm telling you, for me, when I look at it, when it comes to saying that he didn't have the best numbers on the team, it was because he was playing with Shaq. But I feel like also at his position he put up the best numbers.
No, but he on that team, Shaq was the most dominating player. And then when Shaq left, do you remember the years that followed that? I mean, there were
next year. The year after Shaq left, Kobe got hurt.
Okay, but after that, there were bad years. Kobe didn't make the playoffs. His last 4 or 5 years in the league? Nobody wanted to play with him. I'm just saying, I'm not trying to rip down his career, but I don't think Kobe, honestly, is in the GOAT. I don't know how you could look at Kobe and think he's better than Michael Jordan. I just find that hard to believe, when you consider that until Pau Gasol showed up, he wasn't winning anything.
Well, I mean, you can have that argument about Jordan until Scottie showed up. He didn't win anything.
No, but the difference is he was there already. He had won. I'm talking about Kobe with Shaq, and then when he took over by himself, there wasn't it. You don't have that with Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen wasn't a top drafted player like Kobe and Shaq were. It's not the same thing. Scottie Pippen came out of like a lower Division I school. He didn't play at a major college. He wasn't that kind of player.
But he was the second best player on the team.
No, but see, here's the problem I got with that. is that you guys all think that that's well Jordan didn't win it. Jordan was going up against the Celtics that had 3, 4 Hall of Famers, the Pistons that were a great team. Okay, and the other part is, if Scottie Pippen was that instrumental and as equal to Michael Jordan, how come he never won a Finals MVP?
No, because Jordan was the best player.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're not saying I'm not saying that Jordan wasn't the best player on the team. That's obvious. We know that. But what I'm getting at is that the couple years Kobe didn't have Jordan had a number two. Kobe didn't have a number two during them years.
Yeah, but my only issue to you is
If you want to say
no,
he had
my issue to you is
yeah.
Kobe and Shaq on a higher plateau than Jordan and Pippen.
Okay.
You would agree with that?
Yes, I agree with that.
Okay, well, that's what I'm saying. So Kobe had Shaq. That's what I'm saying. That's the reason why you can't separate and say Kobe was the greatest of all time. How? If those guys were on par and Shaq had the better numbers during that time, I don't know how you could even. If you had to pick one of the two guys, you would have to pick Shaq, and Shaq's not the greatest player of all time. Neither is Kobe.
I just when I look at Kobe and when I just look
Like
at
Kobe, I get that. Kobe's the one who made you fall in love with basketball, but that don't mean he's the greatest of all time.
when I
Remember
just
the time he quit on the team against the Suns? They were up 3-1, and he stopped shooting. You remember he quit? Did he quit?
yeah, he quit.
Okay, he's the greatest of all time. A guy who quit on his team during a playoff. That was a bad look for Kobe.
When I look at Kobe, when I watched Kobe and growing up, what's so funny is that growing up when I first got into basketball, and it was my favorite player when I first started watching basketball as a kid was Lindsey Hunter.
Okay, yep. Love Lindsey. He was
that
a
was
great
that was
man.
I don't know what it was about Lindsey, but Lindsey was my guy. And going from Lindsey, I became an Eddie Jones fan, and then that dunk contest that Kobe won, I said, "Oh my God, this is the best player I've ever seen in my life." But just watching him, just the way that Kobe went at the game and watching him play, I have never seen nobody ever play like that ever in my life. I never. And I didn't see tons of Jordan games. I didn't see tons of LeBron games. Tons of them. Nobody I have seen with a basketball can do the things that Kobe Bryant can do. Ever. I have ever seen in the game in the NBA game. So for me, and when it comes down to the individual skills and the way that he played when I watch, I just don't. That's the reason why he's the greatest player to me of all time. And
Okay.
we can go at numbers, we can nitpick and everything, but just watching him just from my eyes, I have never seen nobody attack the game like him.
Okay. I hear you. I don't think I don't even think he's in the top five. I think Kobe's probably in the second five. There's other players. Kareem, if I had to take my top three, I don't know, Kareem, how do you not have Kareem up there above him? Kareem was the all-time leading scorer until 2 weeks ago, and Kareem won five, what did he win? Five championships
I
and
championship 6 MVPs.
6 MVPs. I mean, how is he not? If you go MJ, LeBron, Kareem has to be there. Magic's got to be in the top five. Who went to 9 finals and won 5? You got to think about Larry Bird, who won 3 MVPs in a row. I mean, those would be the players in my top 5.
Well, I'm not saying they're not in my top 5. It's just Kobe's number 1, and everybody else falls in line.
Okay.
Two to 5. You can put them in any order after that. But yeah, like I said, that's one of the things we gonna disagree on. I know that we
Right,
are.
we will never get together on this.
But this morning, I was watching. You was doing an interview with Doug Gottlieb.
Mm-hmm.
I was so bothered by the interview, and I felt like listening to you were holding back because I felt like you really wanted to go deeper into the conversation. But why do you feel? Because I'm not even just going directly with him, but why do you feel like is a lot of people that have what we consider white privilege
because they've lived that life.
feel
I
the
mean,
type of feel that 100% stink about the is about the racism thing when it comes to jobs and just racism period in this country.
because some people don't want to deal with it or be honest about it. And that's what I said to Doug from the very first thing. If you can't acknowledge that there's a race problem, then we can't have a conversation. Okay. There would be no Rooney rule if there were no issues of race, right? Where owners are forced to interview black candidates. At one time, there would be like 8 job openings in the NFL, and no black candidates would be interviewed. That's why the Rooney Rule is there. So that's what an issue I had with Doug. I tried to have a conversation with the guy. I know it gets heated. So a lot of people listen to it, and but I mean, I don't want to. I'm not gonna go crazy and go berserk and act like some maniac. But I wanted to make my points and get across that there is an issue, and as I said to him, I've never met a white person who ever said that they didn't get the job because they're no good. They always say, oh, because they need to hire a woman or they need to hire a minority. That's their excuse so that they could go back and tell their family and friends why didn't you get the job? Oh, well, they got minority hiring. You see what I'm saying? It's a cop out. It's a crutch. That's what they say. They go to the family barbecue. Oh, yeah, I was up for a job. How come you didn't get it? Well, they got to hire minorities and women. Oh, yeah, So so that stigma kind of gets out there, and then everybody thinks that if you're black and you got the job, the only reason they hired you was because they needed to fill some quota or make good on something because people have been denied. A lot of it is bogus and BS. Just a cop out and an excuse for marginal or mediocre white guys to use when they don't get the job.
Yeah, because I felt like because I'm a Minnesota Vikings fan, and so last year when we fired our coach and we were on the coaching search and we hired the GM, the black GM, it's a shame that I already knew when they hired the black GM they were not going to hire a black coach. Even if internally that wasn't the reason why, but it's a shame that I even have to feel that way.
Right.
Is that you can't have both. Because I really wanted a black coach last year. I really did. I wanted
we saw that in Detroit. Jim Caldwell and Martin Mayhew was a black GM. They had both. It's happened before.
But you seen Jim Caldwell didn't last that long either.
No, I know. Well, but that's because Martin Mayhew got fired and they brought in Bob Quinn from the Patriots, who hired Matt Patricia from the Patriots. So that kind of stuff goes on. Friends, cronyism, nepotism. It's bad in the NFL. But I'm saying, they have had situations where you have a black coach and a black general manager. Not often, but it has happened.
And so when they hired Kevin O'Connell, I was like, okay, let's see what he can do. But going into the situation with Eric Bieniemy, I just don't understand why it's so much of a thing with him, because it has to be something. I feel like race plays a part, but I gotta feel like it's something deeper of why he's not even getting the opportunity to even try. With some stiffs that didn't got head coaching jobs that didn't deserve it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think race and the history of this country and the NFL. Remember, the first black coach was hired in 1989, not 1889, 1989. Think about that. That's all you need to know, how long it took to hire a black coach. The first black manager in baseball was 1973. Okay. 1989 is ridiculous. Art Shell with the Raiders. But my point is that I agree there's got to be some other, maybe he's a terrible interviewer. Maybe he comes across wrong where people don't warm up to him or whatever, because there's a lot of factors that go into it. But the idea that they're telling him he needs to call plays when other guys have gotten jobs by not calling plays. I think that's the part that's hypocritical because other people have gotten jobs and have not called plays. So why would he need to go to call plays to satisfy what? You can't keep moving the goalpost.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the part that I don't like about the NFL.
So so also, what a lot of people, so just to let a lot of people know, Rob, over the past year has been testing his skills on that stand-up stage and has had some good performances out there. Which one of these three do you enjoy more?
It was the first
Or
one, and not that the one I did in Detroit was awesome because I was able to do it in front of a lot of family and friends who came to town for the big barbershop anniversary party. So that was awesome to be on the stage in Detroit and do it. But the first one, you're in Hollywood, you know what I mean, and you're in a famed comedy club that a lot of people performed in, the Belly Room, right? Was it the
mm-hmm.
Comedy Store?
Yep.
Um, and the reaction I got was incredible. I mean, they were laughing from Jump Street. The first joke out of my mouth, they laughed. And I think that made me relax and be like, okay, they get me. It wasn't like it was dead silence the first two or three jokes. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing up here? I got such a big laugh on my very first joke ever that I was like, okay. Chris Broussard been pushing me because I'm always trying to tell jokes on the radio show, the
Right.
on Fox Sports Radio. So he thought I would get up there and freeze and I wouldn't be able to perform in front of despite I'm performing on live radio every day, but I don't think he thought I would be able to do the same on
On the
a
stage.
stage. Yeah. And I enjoy it. I'm going to do more of it. So it's just a busy time right now, but I'm going to eventually make it. I want to make a little tour around the Midwest this summer: Cleveland, Cincinnati, Detroit, Chicago, St. Louis, and do a 5-city stop. You know what I mean? And
Okay.
do a performance. I think I want to do something like that.
So let me ask you this: so sports talk, writing, or stand up? Which one would you pick? Which one do you enjoy more?
I'm a writer by trade. I mean, I'm a writer. That's what I am. When people ask me what I do for a living, I usually say I'm a sports writer. So I'm going to say I'm a writer.
Okay.
I mean,
So
I'm a broadcaster, but I'm a writer. I'm growing up as a 9-year-old kid in New York. My dream was to be a sports writer for a daily newspaper. That was the only thing I dreamt about. Not being on TV, not being on the radio, not being on stage. That was the only thing I wanted. When I got that job and I started working in New York at 22 years old, none of my friends were surprised. All of them said the same thing. They looked at me and they said, "That's all you've been talking about since you were 9 years old." That's crazy.
so so Rob, what you got? What you got coming up that you want people to know about?
Well, my website, mlbbro.com, where we cover black and brown baseball players. Just a tremendous site. I have 58 people on staff. We cover all the black players, black and brown, and we mean players mixed black with something else or what we consider brown. And this is year number 3 for us. It's a tremendous site. It's no site like it, very unique in the way we present stuff and the videos we do on social media and the stories we write. It's starting to catch on and get bigger and bigger. So I'm thrilled about it. Started it again 3 years ago. This will be our 3rd season coming up. And please give us a look. MLBBro.com.
All right. And you can also catch Rob on Fox Sports with the Odd Couple.
That's right. Monday through Friday, 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern, 4 to 7 Pacific. Me and Chris Broussard every night, 5 nights a week. It's fun, informative. It's a fun show. And sometimes we get at each other, but it's good. It's a good listen. It's fun.
Yeah. All right, Rob. Thanks for coming on. And everybody, this is another episode with your boy Brandon Jordan. And catch y'all next time.